Everyone, I'm Matthew Brankman. I'm the principal in Bridport.
And Vicki.
Hi everyone, Vicki Wells, Director of Student Services.
And coming over, we have one more coming over right now.
Okay.
Caitlin Steele, Director of Teaching and Learning. And presenting in a moment, I'm going to bring him over now, is Andrew Conforti, our this year's MUMS principal.
Okay,
Whoops,
and do you?
I brought over Andrea Way instead of Andrew. Hi, Andrea. Just a second. Sometimes when the names populate on here, you can have it in the right spot and then another name pops into your highlight.
And Betty, would you introduce yourself?
Betty Kafumbe.
Thank you. And then Peter, would you introduce those that are in the waiting room?
Yes, we have Andrea Way, Ashley Lane, Chris Kramer, Denise Bernhoff, Elizabeth Burrows, Hugh McLaughlin, Katie Welsh, MCTV, and Tanya Scuteri.
Great, thank you. Welcome all. Yes, I am typically not your acting board chair. I'm normally the one that takes your minutes, but due to many different circumstances, I got moved up the totem pole, and so I get to run the meeting tonight. And I've drafted someone else to be so kind as to take the minutes for us. Do we have any comments from our public? Do you see any hands raised, Peter?
We do not.
Okay. So then the next item on our agenda is the Bridport School presentation. And would you like to introduce Matthew or?
Sure,
Peter?
yeah. So Matthew Brankman is here, principal of Bridport. I'll let him present, and I'm going to bring over two employees at Bridport, Elizabeth Burrows and Andrew, be part of the presentation as well.
Great, thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, Matthew.
Thanks, Peter. Elizabeth and Andrea, I'm sure, are thrilled and not at all surprised that they were brought over. So our presentation tonight, first, I want to thank you for having us, and hopefully we'll be in person at some point and you'll get to come out to the school and see us again. In the meantime, one of the things that we've been talking about with our students this spring is what they're passionate about, and we're calling them their sparks. So Elizabeth, in her guidance classes and throughout the school, we've been talking with students and encouraging them to think about what they're passionate about, and then supporting them and thinking about what a career might look like, or what that, how they can use that spark to increase engagement. So the video that we're going to show is actually all of our students sharing with you what they're passionate about. And Elizabeth, thank you so much for editing it. And all the teachers and all the students did a great job. So I will share it with you, and then I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Great, so I'm going to share that. I've got the link to it, so I'll share. Go ahead and share that.
Peter, is there any sound?
You can't hear any sound?
I'm not hearing.
No, sorry.
I'm hearing it pretty loud.
I've been told sometimes with the videos, you have to upload them first and then they'll play the sound. You can't just click the link.
Can you hear anything?
No.
Let's see here.
You may need to sort of dial in maybe and hold your phone up to it.
Well, I'm wondering whether I could download it and then play it off of my desktop. I haven't, Will, is there any issue with this in playing off the browser?
There shouldn't be. I knew it was on Wii Video, and when I looked into the settings today for playing a video, it just said that when you share your screen, you have to check those boxes to make sure that sound is enabled.
Let's see.
Screen share, Peter, it's a tiny box at the bottom of the screen.
We are Bedford Central School. Welcome to our Spark video. In this video, we are going to show you what our sparks are. Sparks are what we love to do. They are the hidden flames inside us.
Research shows that kids who have sparks are more successful in life and are happier.
When kids do their sparks, they have fun and have an open mindset. Kids get to have fun participating with others and learning to get along.
The most important thing is to know our strengths, be healthy, and a joyful world.
Hi, I'm LaShawn, and my spark is playing the guitar. I like playing the guitar because it's fun and yeah,
Hi, my name's Ethan, and I like video games. They relieve my stress sometimes. Hi, my name's Ethan, and I like binging movies with my mom because it's fun and I get to spend time with her.
My name is Adelaide. My sparks are photography, painting, and reading, and I like them because they're fun.
My name is Gage, and my spark is golfing because it's fun and I'm good at it. Hi, my name is Rayla, and my spark is horseback riding because I like to do it.
I'm Bella, and my sparks are horseback riding, playing with my dogs, and cows because I enjoy that. Hi, my name's Parker, and I like football because it's fun and it's nice to play.
Hi, my name is Layla. My spark is the color blue because it's my favorite color and makes me happy.
My name is Savannah, and my spark is fidgets. They help me relax and concentrate.
Hi, my name is Gwen. My spark is football because I like it.
Hi, my name is Bella, and my spark is talking 2 languages. I like it because I can communicate with other people. Hola, mi nombre es Bella y yo puedo hablar 2 lenguajes. Me gusta hablar con otra gente que puede hablar español.
Hi, my name is Sophia, and I like tap dancing because it makes me happy and it's fun to tap with other people.
My name is Tegan. I like ice hockey and football because they're fun and I get to take my mask off and have lots of conversations with my friends.
Hi, my name is Melena, and my sparks are speaking 2 languages and playing soccer. I like those 2 sparks because I like to spend time with my family and I like having fun to speak 2 languages.
Hi, my name is Dan, and my spark is Pokemon. The reason I like Pokemon is because it's fun and they're cute. This one's Charizard, Umbreon, Lantern, and Incineroar.
Hi, my name's Colin. I like hunting because it's fun and I like being outside and providing food for my family. Bye.
Hi, my name is Sophia Stalker, and I like to dance and pretend I'm famous. I like to pretend I'm famous because it's fun. My name is Sydney, and my spark is softball because I like playing it. Hi, my name is McKenna, and my spark is horse riding, and I like horse riding because it helps me get stronger. Hi, my name is Eliza, and my spark is gymnastics because it makes me happy. Hi, my name is Jess, and I like to spend time with my bunny named Zoe. Because she is super soft, and I really like to cuddle with her. Hi, my name is Amaya, and my spark is video games because they're really fun and I like playing them. My name is Sophia, and I like doing flips on the swing because it's fun swinging in the air. My name's Karen, and I love hunting, and ever since, because I go hunting a lot, and I love shooting deer and ducks. I'm Sophia, and I like to play outside, and it makes me happy because I don't get to be in a small space. My name is Gracie, and my spark is training dogs. And once my dog died, I fell in love with training dogs. Hi, my name is Callum, and I like skateboarding because it makes me happy and I enjoy it. Hi, my name is Desi, and my spark is 4-H. We get to show and go on rides. My name is Kaden, and my spark is nature because ever since I found a hurt fox and helped it, I liked nature. Hi, my name is Kendall. My spark is painting, and I love painting because I love coloring, painting, and drawing. It's my favorite thing to do ever. My name is Hannah, and my spark is a veterinarian. I want to be a veterinarian because I can help cute animals that I love. And I got this cute little kit with veterinarian stuff, and my passports, and the little badge that Sophia made for me. My name is Owen. I like snowboarding and playing baseball, and I like playing outdoors and riding my bike. And sometimes I get to go with my friends. My name is Bentley. I like helicopters. I want to grow up to be a helicopter driver. I want to fly in a helicopter. My name is Braylon. My spark is a fox. It likes to help other animals get help. My name is Maverick. I like golfing because I get to drive the golf cart and play with my dad. My name is Fallon. Unicorns, flowers, presents, hearts, red hearts, rainbows, and apple trees make me happy, and I drew myself as a unicorn. My name is Wyatt. I like to go fishing, and sometimes we go fishing on the boat, and we like to eat fish sometimes. My name is Nora. My spark is farming, and I like to milk cows. My name is Jasper. When I grow up, I want to be a cowboy so I can ride on horses and boars. My name is Monroe. I am good at gymnastics and I love bunnies. My name is Millie. My spark is a mermaid and I like to swim. My name is Joey. I like to fish outdoors. I like tractors because I like to drive them and play with them. My name is Hannah. I like baby animals. My spark is baby deers. My name is Ronnie and I like to drive milk trucks. Hi, my name is Leon. My spark is to be a farmer because I like going in the barn and feeding cats and helping milk. My name is Margo. I like doing that. My spark is a rock star. My name is Wife. Because I like animals. Boom!
Awesome! And why is that your spark?
My name is Flower.
Zachary loves swinging. Swinging is one of his sparks.
Thank you, students, for showing your spark.
Thank you, ACSD board members and principals, for watching our BCS video.
Our kids worked hard to do their sparks. They were amazing. We are so proud of ourselves and our school. It's so cool how people have so many different sparks.
Thank you, families and teachers, for supporting our sparks.
Please show your sparks in the chat or comment.
Thank you again to Elizabeth for pulling that video together so quickly and for all the students. The reality is, as cute as they are, it is also super important that all of our students think about their future and think about how what they're doing in school today relates to their long-term goals. And one of our staff's biggest goals is thinking of education as providing options. So you heard a lot of people who, a lot of kids who love farming, and that's awesome. And you know, Bentley wants to fly helicopters, and we want those options to be available for all of them. So thanks again. And if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to take them.
That was an amazing video, Matt, and everyone. Yeah, kudos to all the kids. And it's amazing just hearing their voices and hearing their aspirations and where they want to be and where they would like to go. Board, do you have any questions or any comments for Bridport? Chip, sorry.
I wish we could track. I mean, we may hear that from our own children at times, but it's unusual to hear sort of a sequence of so many sparks and desires down the road. It'd be great to track. I don't know how we do that. I'm sure somebody has at some point, to see where in fact everybody does go, because all of us had different ways when we got to wherever we got to as adults. But you know, the person who wants to be the farmer, do they become a farmer or not? Do they fly a helicopter? It's, you know, not every boy wanted to be a fire truck driver, but still some of them became fire truck drivers.
I can tell you, in my case, the little boy who wanted to be a farmer ends up being a principal.
Are there any other comments or Barb?
Yeah, Matthew, that was great. Did all the kids participate?
Yeah, all the kids participated, but in our final edit, one student's video didn't make it in. So in the cut that we share with families, we will be adding one more video.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather, you had a hand up?
Yeah, thank you. Matthew, thanks so much for putting that together, and for the other Bridport Elementary staff. It just made me smile. I mean, it's always so good to see the kids and articulate, you know, what they love about learning. And I guess the only question I have for you, you know, there's a lot of kiddos who express their spark as, you know, something creative. And for the most part, it's something that typically is not found you know, it's outside of school. So I'm curious how your staff are kind of incorporating creativity and incorporating some of those loves into the classroom to kind of keep that love of learning alive.
Well, one thing I know for sure is that although a lot of this information was new to me as the principal, I know our classroom teachers already knew all of this because they're engaging with the kids every day and getting to know them, and they've had years to get to know them. So another project that we did earlier this year was a talent show that we did. And again, Elizabeth edited that. So it was a virtual talent show. So some of the things we can offer and some of the things we can't, but I think just the staff really knowing the students, and whether it's a writing prompt or a book that the teacher finds for the kid, knowing those sparks allows us to find inroads into some of the academics. And also, I hate to think of things as a means to an end. It's also just showing respect to the child and the family, that what they're interested in is important.
Are there any other comments? No. Thank you again, Matthew. That was just absolutely delightful. And I know that a notice went out on the Bridport PTO page to tune in tonight because the Bridport kids were on. So I'm not sure how many of them are tuning in, but they were all asked to tune in and they were warned. So thank you again for bringing the delights from Bridport to our board. And one day we will be there to visit.
Yes, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Moving on, may I have a recommendation to approve the minutes of April 26, 2021?
I'll move that we approve the minutes.
Peter Conlon moved that we approve the minutes of April 26th, and I believe Mary Gill
I
seconded.
second, yep.
Is there any discussion about the minutes? I did try something new this time. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote on approving the minutes of April 26, 2021. All in favor, please raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed. Chip, the bills, please.
I read the bills. I presume Victoria did too. She didn't tell me otherwise. And I never heard from central office, so I presume they get read by her. Those were read on the 3rd of May. A total amount of $326,381.02. All the bills were reviewed, and I make a motion that we pay the bills.
May I have a second on that motion, please? Betty? It's been moved and seconded to approve paying the bills of May 3rd to the tune of $326,381.02. Is there any discussion on the bills? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed. Peter, report of the superintendent.
Thank you. So as you all know, it was an exciting week last week as we welcomed all of our middle school and high school students back to 4 days a week. There was just a ton of energy in our schools, and you probably heard the buzz throughout our community. We had, as I mentioned, Friday, we had a great first week. I think, people are getting acclimated. I talked to a teacher today. Interestingly, we were talking about kind of what it means for kids to have more in-person time and what it means for relationships and what it means for mental health and all those things. And this teacher said, it's interesting that in talking with other teachers, it's meant a lot to us too, not just in seeing what's happening for students, but for us to get back into being with students 4 days a week as we start to enter into this, get close to summer. He was saying he feels like we're going to be much better prepared to start the year strong, having had this time with students. So that was pretty cool to hear. I'm going to share a few more things in terms of end of year updates and some updates related to vaccinations and other things. But before I do that, I wanted to introduce Andrew Conforti, who is our interim principal. I've asked him to come. I know we've been sending tons of information out about moms and what's coming, and wanted to give him a chance to talk with the board about kind of the plan, where things are. He did come and speak with us, I think it was maybe 2 months ago. Andrew, does that seem right? So he's here. He's going to do a short presentation and then answer questions and share the awesome stuff that's happening as we get ready for what's going to be here soon, 6th grade at MUMS.
Thanks. Thanks for having me, everybody. It's a tough act to follow. I don't think I could be as cute or as entertaining as what we just witnessed. So I won't even attempt.
You could share your spark, though. I
could. I could bring my 6-year-old in here. I think we'd be better off. I'd be interested to see what she might come up with. Yeah, I'll have to think about my spark by the time I'm done with this. I put together a PowerPoint for you all. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, it might have been February where I came and spoke with everybody, and it's amazing as I kind of look back and think about where we are now versus the last time that I was with you all, and how much has happened really since the start of the new year for us at MUMS, where we really got our feet under us with the pandemic in the first half of the year. And really in December and January, we really turned our energy and efforts up, and we dialed it up for getting ready for next year. So I'm going to share a PowerPoint with you all and just take you through it. So in welcoming our students and families, there's been a lot to go into this, obviously. Let's see, is that better? Now can you see the whole picture? I don't know if that's in the way for you. So how did we get here, and how are we supporting students and families prepare for an exciting new year at MUMS? A lot of collaborative planning and communication, both between staff and administration, and also a lot of outreach and work with the parents and families. So starting in January, one of the things that we did is we took our early release time that we have monthly, and we broke that up into bi-weekly meetings for departments for our staff. Rather than meeting monthly, we broke it up to help support staff in their planning for developing curriculum for our 6th grade. And this was a real opportunity for us to look at our MYP from a grade 6 to 10 viewpoint, but also really to look at our K-12 alignment for our academics curriculum. And it was nice. Sorry about that. Got office hours there. Nice for our staff to work with both elementary administrators and teachers, and then also for us to work closely with the high school administrators and teachers to help inform us and inform the pace and sequence of our academics and the MYP and the PYP, and how they relate and work with each other. And then just our students have been amazing. I commented today about, I asked Jan Fraga and Sarah Nadeau, who are supporting our student ambassadors a couple weeks ago. I was just saying, wow, is it always like this? And they said, yeah, usually our student ambassadors are really involved, but they said this group is quite special, and I've really been lucky to experience that. This group has, helped support team names and reaching out to students. They've helped inform and support the development of websites through our design classes, chatbots through our design classes, all made by our students for our students. And then work that we're doing to help keep people informed is I've been going to virtual town hall meetings. I held one on behalf of MUMS. Guess that was the end of March. And then since then, I'd visited Mary Hogan. We had a group from Shoreham, Bridport, and Weybridge had put something together. And then recently, another group with Ripton, Salisbury, and Cornwall. And the guidance counselors at the elementary schools have put those together, bringing our current 7th graders and parents in to help answer questions and also just share their experience in transition and their experience at the middle school. And I'm going to do one more next week with our remote academy students. And many of you probably have seen our bi-weekly communications, one of which included a mom's virtual tour that Mike Dudek came up and we took a tour of the building with a few students and in courtesy of Middlebury TV. We're able to put that together over spring break. And I really, looking at the bi-weekly transition communications, really want to thank Erica Gardner for helping really tie all that information together. And then also all our staff. As you can imagine, balancing everything that our staff are working through in terms of the pandemic and just carrying our ordinary jobs to be developing this is quite an amazing feat, and it's quite impressive, and I'm really appreciative of the efforts of everybody. So when we say collaborative, I don't think that really embodies what it has been like for us in working together and really pulling together nicely. So that's kind of the process of things. But as far as what next year actually looks like, it's IB for all, and that's a big. We're taking advantage of this opportunity to really bring all of our IB classes and bring equity in terms of time and attention to those classes. So when we look at language acquisition and wellness being PE and health combined, and giving them equal time to language and literature, language arts and literature, science, math, individual societies, is a big step for us. And with adding time to those classes, really affected, obviously, looking at the schedule and how that impacts our time with other courses. So general music and design and art still are trimester courses, making up 7 of our 8 blocks. And then an 8th block, we've developed a win period where it's what I need. And in there is another trimester course with Skills for Life, which is an SEL, social and emotional learning course, really tied to our learner profile. And then adding media literacy. Often our librarian has introduced and spoke about media literacy usually at the beginning of the year, which will continue. But this is something that's nice and will carry and be a semester course that'll parallel with Skills for Life, and have a look at media literacy. And then within the What I Need course is putting our interventions and special education services so that those exist for students in addition to, not in place of, our other courses, which is really important to making sure that students have access to all academic areas and are not missing out. And we've been very thoughtful in our planning, which has really caused some delay and deliberation on how we make this work, but we're making it work nicely, I believe. And then also still maintaining advanced math. And then the difference between advanced math and math exploratory. Math exploratory is going to be something that we offer for our 6th graders, just as an enhancement for 6th grade, not necessarily having the rigor that advanced math will have. That'll help prepare students really be ready for those algebra courses when they get started in high school in 9th grade, and be more so on track to meet some of those DP level courses later on in their schooling with us in the district. And then also in the What I Need period is offering music lessons in those times. And then just thinking overall, if you're thinking about the schedule, there's links in here for all these things, but I'm not gonna, I can share this later. Peter, you can share it later. I can drop this in for everybody. But overview the schedule, we will have 4 70-minute blocks a day. We're still going to try to carry as much language from our recent history here at MUMS. So calling them, we'll have A and B days and follow that. So 4 75-minute blocks a day with 3 30-minute periods in the middle of each day. And in those middle periods in the day is grade level lunches, where they also have opportunities for recess, attending the library, meeting in small lunch groups, seeing guidance. A lot of options available at the middle school at that time. And then in the other 30-minute periods, they will have the opportunity to attend band and choir. Some intervention and direct services can also take place there. But those, other than their lunch period, they'll have 2 different flex block periods that'll be on team, and they'll have access in both those periods to work with grade level teachers. And grade level teachers can pull students, and it's a very flexible period, thus the name flex blocks. But also at that time, when students are eating with their grade level groups, teachers will be able to meet and collaborate with their grade level teams. It won't necessarily mean that they need to do it every single day, but there'll be a lot of structures and systems in place for our teachers to collaborate on team, get access and continue to have our guidance and admin meetings where we can go over education support teams, can support students' plans and collaborate at that time. And then also a big component that will continue at MUMS is teacher advisory, seeing that 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then 30-minute extended TA on Wednesdays, which is nice and new. And we're still working on being very explicit and intentional about our TA, but really with a focus, as we all are concerned coming back off this pandemic, really building relationships, really honing in on social and emotional learning, but also holding some of the things that have been standard at MUMS in terms of team and community and connection. And as I've been meeting with families and talking with staff, taking it to another level for us next year. A lot of concerns with growing to 120 students per grade level per team. This is a way to keep it intimate, where hopefully having that teacher advisory, that staff member being somebody that parents can reach out and connect to and build a relationship in addition to them and the relationship that they have with students, to help answer questions and be connected and be involved in an intimate way with a smaller group of students. So we're excited about building and growing on that. And I can come back to some of those samples of the schedules and those things if you have questions after the fact. We've really shared broadly those things already. And just I want to talk about student support services. When we talk about IB for All, we were able to really carry 2 different things in this pandemic. This was really essential to us throughout this year. It's been essential in the past at MUMS, this flexibility and attention to all students. You do not need any specific thing in order to get what you need at MUMS. We are really honing in on all individuals, and our EST team is essential to getting students what they need. So looking at the areas of literacy, math, their behavior, social and emotional learning and interventions is going to be essential moving forward. And so we just recalibrated, honed in, brought in more teachers into our system for this. And this also works and supports special education services. And our special educators are a big part of this, along with our paraprofessionals. And while talking about special education services in particular, since we last reported to the board, the district was able to get 1 additional special educator to MUMS for next year, so there will be 5, because we had a large group of students with IEPs and also some 504s, but largely the IEP caseloads were so large that we were able to reallocate just for 1 year. Is the expectation for this, just to help manage those caseloads for our case managers, and also to give students the attention and those plans the attention that they need and deserve. Big things that came up over the course of the year is the idea of what MUMS has to offer. A lot of the clubs that exist, there's things that excite our students and our families that are coming to us. So thinking about what Matthew said, and they're talking at Bridport, and really exploring those things and building on those things for our students. Actually had a parent who's also coaching with us, just exploring, hey, like we're interested in this, like what do we do? And it's like, well, we just need to find somebody that's interested and wants to offer that. Usually it's through staff, but we have a lot of offerings with clubs. And as far as sports, big topic is how do we involve sixth graders and make them feel a part, give them access to our athletics. Right now, the one standalone sixth grade team that we'll have will be for boys and girls soccer in the fall. But then for the majority of everything else, really combining field hockey, grades 6 to 8, cross country, gymnastics, wrestling, track and field. We feel like we can combine those things, and it really is based off of physical developmental possibilities for students and what's appropriate for them in some of the athletics, but then somewhere like basketball where it's really logistics and opportunity to access gyms and some of it is coaching and the like. And then for the spring, still to be determined in terms of softball and baseball. I think we want to see how things go in the fall, continue to collaborate with families and students and see things go developmentally before we make some final decisions and see what the possibilities and interest level is for both those sports with sixth graders in particular. And things that are still to come. Principal Dudek was actually visited us today in our faculty meeting, was able to check in with staff, tell us about how his transition's going, both moving here with his family, which I'm really excited for him and his wife and his young son. He's going to visit May 21st, get to see students, meet some faculty in person. Guidance, we were just talking today, more details to come on this, but they'd like to do a virtual meet and greet where this will replace, traditionally we do an open house, but obviously with the pandemic, we're not ready to quite open our doors to the public yet in this capacity. So this will be an opportunity just to check in with them. They can share how they work and also answer some questions. And then our elementary schools are going to come on a move-up day. We're also thoughtfully planning for the students that are in remote academy. And then we are, as you've seen, many communication one 2022 welcome booklet. And let's see, I think maybe this Wednesday actually might make my first school visit along with guidance counselors. We're going to start to visit schools in person. I think it's really important to make that connection and see students and meet them exactly where they're at. And then we'll, before you know it, be at orientation for 6th and 7th grade the day before all students return. Let's see here, stop sharing so I can see you. Sorry if I ran through that pretty fast, but I'm pretty well versed in running through this now and thinking about coming here. It's been great to connect in those virtual town hall meetings. The first one I did at Mary Hogan, I talked with Peter afterwards, talked with Jen Kravitz, and it went a long way, 2 parts. One, to be in March and say, wow, I actually answered all those questions. And then 2 is really to make that connection with those families. And I think we've learned a lot this year in the pandemic for things that we want to carry going forward. And then also just for moms. I mean, a lot of our attention and collaboration has really been at that secondary level in terms of working with administration and staff. But this year has also taught us that it's going to be really important going forward, that we have our eyes and our attention going top to bottom and being more connected with elementary schools going forward. Because you can see a lot of the excitement at the elementary level, and then you can also see a lot of the questions that really isn't common knowledge. And I think if we get in there and work closer with each other in the community, it'll help us in many transitions that we're going to be making going forward. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about going out in person to elementary schools with guidance in the next few weeks. Excited to have students come and visit us. And as we gear up, our staff are increasingly excited. You can tell there's been a real switch in the last month as we finally answered and solved and helped bring people and build their understanding of the schedule and our systems and answering those questions. starting to ask fun questions like, what's the 6th grade team name going to be? Like that was the fun work that they were able to do today, talking about, working with community partnership group and talking about having parent liaisons next year, another way to connect and build communication and build our capacity to build equity and parent and family and community voice and connect us with the community. So a lot of fun things are coming of this transition, and glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Andrew, it sounds like you and the staff and everyone have done a ton of work since you've last spoken with us. And it's really impressive hearing all of the new changes and the things that are happening. I myself had one question that I hope won't take too long to answer, but on the flex blocks, you said that there were 3 30-minute blocks during the lunchtime. One of those would be lunch. And then the other one, you in my thinking of it's more like a teacher callback block. And then there's also music and chorus.
Mm-hmm.
So would there be a block that's strictly dedicated to music so that the student could have lunch, music, and then maybe the third block as a callback or intervention? Or
Yeah, it's a great question. So given that there's the 2 slots that, one would just be the opportunity to attend band or choir, and they could actually attend both because they won't be daily. So there will be parts of the week that if they're doing band or choir, that would just be one period of that week or that they just wouldn't be attending. But they would have, at least on the day that they attend band or choir, they would still have one block available to meet with teachers in that flex block. But that's not a daily thing to attend band or choir. So that wouldn't really take away. And then also, great question about the intervention and services. Same thing where they would take maybe 2 to 3 times a week or maybe 1 time a week in that period. But still each day still having at least 1 flex period available to make that contact with their teachers. And so I think, does that answer your question?
yeah, it does, because it's so important to be able to have that time to be brought back, especially if there's something that a student isn't quite getting. And, research does say if you can reteach within 24 hours, they're more likely to get it and be successful. So thank you.
You're welcome. And then the other thing with the 75-minute blocks is hoping that we build in structures and systems into our teaching and learning to support students right there inside of that period. But that's a big part of being flexible for our teachers, and some days just communicating with each other and saying like, I'm gonna need them. And so just moving and communicating.
Yeah, I hear you. Chip?
I have a question relative to, the change from going for a lot of these students from a class size of 10 or 15 or maybe 20 up to a class of 120. And also for families where, I would think that flexibility and learning as to how this is all going to work is going to be a really important part in adapting this, because even though you've all thought it out really in detail for sure, there's going to be those that just don't fit. Suddenly that kid has got, 4 periods of art and 1 of math. Okay, I know maybe that won't happen, but if it does, there has to be some flexibilities to be able to conform it in a way that will bring it to both the child and their parents' comfort level from that. So, I just see it as being a challenge, because you're going to have, no matter how far you've planned ahead, there's going to be those kinds of glitches in each student's schedule or whatever. So I hope that works, because those are the kind of things that will cause you many more headaches, especially from parents.
Sadly, we're well practiced in adapting through this pandemic, that we look forward to making these adjustments in the fall when we're in a position where our feet are under us firmly and we can do that. But to that point, a lot of our staff, they want to maintain that expectation that has existed at MUMS for years, and they're putting a lot of thought into that and planning. So the things that they bring up in that collaboration is invaluable to help us see as many things, but we know and we are prepared. And people should expect to make some adjustments and see some hiccups that we'll tackle when we see them.
Right. Great.
Anyone else from the board have any questions? Or Peter Conlon?
Yeah, first of all, some of us are using the virtual hand, so look out for that to ask questions. So Betty also has her hand up, as does Barb. Andrew, this seems really well done, really well thought out, and just kudos to you and to all the staff at MUMS for working very hard to, I think, create what will be a really successful transition. It's very exciting. I think one thing that has worked really well, and I hope it continues, is a high level of communication with parents. There's been a lot of good comments about that this year. And then I just had a specific question. In the list of sort of interventionists and literacy people and all of that, are any of those positions currently, are they within sort of that federal grant funded, or are they all permanent positions at this point?
All the positions, and I don't know if you want to jump in, Peter, but all the positions that exist in our schedule for this fall are tied to where we were at last fall. So we stayed within the expectations that were set back in October when Chris came and spoke with us. There were changes in roles since we last spoke. So rather than having 2 design teachers, we adjusting the schedule, we're able to have, rather than 1 math specialist, we now have 2 math specialists. So, but none of the current structures that we've communicated out are tied to federal money.
Great, thank you.
Great. Betty?
I have 2 questions. One of them is about the language. So I know that most of the schools have been learning Spanish, and when you get to 7th grade is when you get to choose either to go with French or Spanish. So when they get to, since they're joining MUMS now, are they going to have French introduced in 6th grade, or will they have to wait till 7th grade? My second question is about busing. With 6th graders coming on board, how you worked that out with increased numbers of students.
For the 6th grade, language acquisition brings a big smile to my face. We have Connie Muscata is at our elementary school level, and she's going to be coming up. She's dually certified in French and Spanish. And not every curriculum decision and department decision was easy this year, but when we came together in those curriculum planning meetings, it was one of the most joyful meetings that I experienced, because everybody was so excited and on the same page from our language acquisition department, offering both Spanish and French to our 6th graders and giving equal time to those, because it is what is recommended in languages and really our IB philosophy, to give students the opportunity and exposure to both languages, but also more so to more cultures. And so there's going to be equal time to, right now the plan is to take basically the same unit in Spanish and the same unit in French and apply those equally across the year. And so they're still in terms of the details, but 6th graders will have an opportunity to get that exposure and then make a choice for 7th and 8th grade going forward. So it's a more informed decision going forward. And then for busing, I can let Peter help me out on that one, but really our whole community is sharing the bus. So we're confident when they step off that bus with our supervision and support in trying to support that transition with 6th graders mingling with 8th graders, and how we do that is more of what our focus is, and we feel comfortable with that transition. I don't know that it impacts the routes or anything like that, right, Peter?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's going to impact the routes. Most of those students are like who are attending Mary Hogan would just stay on the bus and go to the middle school, or get dropped off at the middle school first before going to Mary Hogan. So I don't think we're going to see any discernible change in transportation related to that.
I was just thinking of the pandemic and you know, overcrowding on the bus. That's kind of scenario.
Barb?
Hi there. Well, thank you so much for your presentation. One question that comes to mind, do we have special programs in place for kids that were fully remote, say in 5th grade, trying to make that transition? I'm not quite sure what percentage of kids have been and still are remote. But I'm wondering if that's going to have an impact on, you know, them simulating into, you know, the 6th grade at this larger scale. That's one question I had. And the second question is, in order to allow some of the rural kids out in the 6th grade to participate in the sports that you've come up with, is there transportation that enables them to do that? There's a late bus, I believe, correct? Or something like that, so they can participate if their parents can't pick them up.
I'll start with the second question. So there is not a late bus currently, but I'm working with the Middlebury Rec Department for basketball, talking about moving their scheduled practices for after school time so that our students at MUMS can actually just walk and get over to those practices is one thing that we could control, that they're going to adjust so that our students can access it. Students would just still be required to be picked up and they wouldn't be transportation for that. And again, like I said, for the spring is looking for, you know, decisions around that, but we don't have the after school bus. And then for the supporting students that are remote, and then just all of our students in general for remediation, this summer MUMS has put on summer programming many years previous. We're going to continue to do that. And more information to come on our summer program, but we're going to run 4 weeks of our summer programming, but also we're looking to work with Mary Johnson and trying to extend a week prior and a couple weeks afterwards, at the very least, just to have our students socially engaged if families so choose. But that's a big part of transitioning to MUMS that is nice. And we typically, we plan again, going through guidance and teacher recommendations to make sure that we're targeting those with the greatest needs. And so that's one strategy. And then it's just going to be a matter of good teaching and learning approaches in the fall. When we get our students back, our teachers are going to have to evaluate and really see where our students are at and meet them where they are. And then we'll take it from there. And then the district is working on a recovery plan to look at after school programming specifically to address the areas of literacy and math, and then embedding things within our day to really address the social and emotional learning for our students as well.
Yeah, so with the after school programs, again, the child would have to have transportation in order to participate in those.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It is a big challenge. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, and especially since, you know, when I look at statistics, the kids that are from our lower economic families, they tend to possibly not have that support system. So that makes me a little nervous for them. Thank you.
Who knows? We may have to look back into some Zoom.
Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's it.
Just a note on after school and transportation. Given our geography, you know, historically we haven't really run late buses, just given the cost and needing to, you know, even if you only have 5 kids to drive back home and they live all across our whole region, that's a really long bus ride even for 5 kids. So, I mean, if the board wanted to look at that at some point, we could look at that, but you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars probably.
Yeah, I wonder if some of the ESSER money, just for this transition year, because it's been so disruptive for the last 2 years, right, or year and a half, helping all kids really get on the right foot. There might be, I don't know, maybe there's some money there. We could do something special. I don't know.
Lindsay and then Lorraine.
Hi, actually, thank you, by the way, for all that. That was great to hear that information. I really appreciate the time you took to gather that all for us and for the community. Many of my questions have already been asked, and I share Barb's concerns about the late bus and that equity comes to mind, and especially as we talk about consolidation. I just, for some of the elementary school students, I'm just saying publicly, I would like to have a conversation about that, because I know for me as a student, I would not have been able to participate in after school programs if there wasn't a late bus. And I did not come from a low income family. I came from a family with 2 parents who worked. And I can't imagine what my life would have been like if I just went home and was like a latchkey kid for an extra 2 to 3 hours a night. So, and then the other thing that I wanted to ask about is the traffic light. With all these additional students coming in, many of whom are being driven by students. I worked at the residence at one point, and I'm just wondering about the traffic light. Is there a study or anything happening to try to adjust the timing or route some people through the exit by the bank or by the what is that, Creek? Is it Creek Road? Anyways, what efforts are being made, because that traffic light is a real doozy.
Well, I'm not aware of any studies to look at adjusting the traffic. I think with the pandemic and even with this return this week, with more people driving and dropping their students off than what is probably typically done in a normal year, it's not been too bad. Even within our own space at MUMS, we're able to successfully move people out within 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know, Peter, if you have any more information on that, but I'm not sure, even from your perspective, Peter, you're used to dropping people off. What's your thoughts on that traffic light?
It's been fine this year for me, just dropping my child off. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the kind of thing where if we noticed it was a problem, we would certainly address it. Betcha hasn't, we've shared the plans with Betcha and they haven't voiced any concerns. So I think it's something that, with anything like that, we contact the town of Middlebury, we talk with them. They're constantly monitoring this a lot more than we are. So they'll know if there is a problem. We'll certainly, talk with them and address it. But again, it's more of a town of Middlebury thing, not a school thing.
So if folks are feeling frustrated or wondering about the traffic light, they should contact the town of Middlebury about that.
Yeah, we don't control the lights, that the town does.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll just jump in and say about a year ago or so, it did get better. They went from like a 5-second light to about a 15-second light. It's gotten much better.
The construction doesn't help, however.
Traffic was backed up all the way probably to Kingdom Come this morning in Middlebury.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Lorraine?
Yes, hi, thanks, Andrew. You packed so much info in there that I got a little bit confused, and I apologize. When you were discussing the WIN courses, I was a little confused how that fits into the daily schedule. Are those daily for the whole year? How much time is there? And I jotted down, you had said advanced math, math exploratory, and then you mentioned music lessons. So is that like band kids who are having trouble would go? Or I mean, just how does the wind thing work again?
It's a great question. It's a question that we grappled with for months. So it's, you're fine. We'll bring you up to speed on it. So it is one period of the day, but we've split it into two parts. So for interventions and services, those are going to be 33 minutes each. So let's just take media literacy and skills for life are going to parallel each other in a trimester. So you'll have a trimester where you're going to attend one part of your WIN block will be 33 minutes with skills for life. And then the other 33 minutes, you'll get a passing time in that block and you'll go to the media literacy. And then when you couple that in with the idea of needing to go to band or choir, or I'm sorry, music lessons, those would take place just like once a week. So like students that are going to attend that aren't going to have to miss their music lesson. They would just miss one of those other classes and make sure that they get that so they're not missing out on that. Same thing for something like advanced math, where you're going to do that for part of your time. And the other part could still be a study hall to mirror that. So you're splitting. So whatever it is that's going to be in your schedule, those are going to be 33-minute periods throughout the course of the year. Does that start to help to answer that?
Yes, kind of. So like a person who was taking the music lessons, it would be all year long, but one time a week.
Mm-hmm.
So does like every student have only kids that needed it?
So students that are going into band and doing like the ensemble and things like that will also get music lessons in the area. So if I'm playing trumpet in the band, our music teacher will pull that student or those students and group them accordingly. So do small group work and independent work at that
so like
time.
sectional.
So like so we'll have two music teachers, and one will be our choir and choral person. The other one our instrumental, and they're going to split general music classes. And then the other part of their job will be to support and do individual and small group lessons throughout the day.
Okay. Yes, that does help. Thank you for clarifying that.
No problem. I didn't know how to do it simply.
Well, you had a lot of information to give us, so thanks.
No problem.
Oh, Mary Heather, and then Mary Gill, if you still have a question.
Thank you. I'll make this real quick. Thank you again. Just want to echo what everyone else has said, Andrew, about the work that you and MUM staff have put into this. There's been a lot of moving parts. I don't think we fully can appreciate just how much blood, sweat, and tears went into that schedule development to make everyone feel like they can be happy with it. So kudos for that. Just two quick questions. One is I'm wondering if you all are still planning to do guidance groups for some of for the student body. It just seems like a great opportunity to kind of meet the kids where they're at and help kind of particularly for those students who are used to a smaller school, smaller class environment, to help kind of, with community building in their new larger school. So I'm wondering if that is something that's still planning to happen. I know my kids have really benefited from that. And then my second question is, just to sort of echo Barb and Lindsay's concern about the transportation for students and after school. And I know that's, if the board were to take it up, it could be potentially a big money thing, but I'm wondering if there's other problem solving that could be done, perhaps even in the community engagement sphere. And I don't know, what kind of legal parameters we're working around with like ride sharing and that sort of thing. But I just want to sort of plant the seed and add my voice to that. I do think it's an equity issue. And I think it's an important one that does need to be looked at. I don't know if it needs to be at the board level or just administrative level or even just, parent teacher group level, but I think it's a thing that that we need to put some heads toward to solve the problem. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for both those. Yes, so looking at the middle of the day with 3 30-minute periods, absolutely guidance, great opportunity to connect and continue those groups, and also using our SEL coach to also have and develop and put together groups. And then with this schedule, in a lot of the examples, you kind of see that win block being like at the end of the day, that's just kind of a function of sharing and being uniform. But those win blocks take place all but block 3 of our schedule. So students are more available to our guidance counselors to meet individually and pulling them out through the day, which is a benefit. Whereas right now they really have, a couple different windows because we don't like to pull our students from their academics and things like that. So there's a little bit more access there. And I really appreciate everybody's consideration of the transportation. Obviously, it's a huge barrier in terms of access and equity, and definitely a worthwhile thing. And I'm glad to know that you're all talking about that. And I'm glad to join those conversations in terms of problem solving. I think ride sharing is a great idea, but what are the barriers with that? So definitely something for our leadership to take up.
So on the idea of transportation, I will tell you, as a former parent, I did a lot of transporting of students home from moms and the high school over the years. But even if the board could find a way to do a bus to each of the elementary schools, I think that would go a long ways towards helping getting students and having them to be able to participate. But that being said, I don't see any more hands raised for you, Andrew. So I'm thinking that the board has asked everything that they want of you and picked your brains. So I'd like to say thank you again for that great presentation. So much information. I'm sure that once we get off, someone's going to think, oh, I should have asked that question. But we all have your email address, so we can send you a question. So thank you again.
There's a couple more virtual town halls. I'm sure you can catch and get some of your questions answered. And yes, it was a huge collaboration, and this is the work of so many other people that obviously not one person or one group could have done alone. It's been a work of many. So thank you, and thanks for all you do and being here, and thanks for having me.
Great, thank you again so very much.
Thanks.
Peter, end of the year updates?
Yes. So we are finishing up a number of things as we near the end of the academic year, and we've got hiring processes still in play. This week we're finalizing our Weybridge principal hire, so we'll hopefully have some information soon on that. And really, as I said, looking towards kind of what we have to have in place by the time we hit summer. We've been talking, I think, throughout the district about the summer and realizing that we want to do as much planning as we can now. We also want to honor break for people. Staff have been working super hard and need a break. Our leaders need a break too. So we're working hard right now to try to put some of these pieces in place so that July is really a time where people can unplug a bit and spend time with family, etc. Our recovery plan, which Andrew mentioned, is due to AOE on June 1st. So that's something that we've been working on. This is pretty much a set template from the agency, and we're kind of filling in the different kinds of things we're going to be doing. We're probably going to be using most of the material in that plan to enact the change that we're looking at over the course of the next year. Not necessarily from the plan, but the thinking that's going into the plan, I think, will be helpful as we look at what does this work look like on the ground. We, I shared this on Friday. It's awesome. We've got prom happening. We've got our ACSD retirement celebration. We found a date for that today. That's when we honor all of our ACSD retirees. As you know, graduation plans are currently underway. Those are happening at MUHS, MOMS. Things are going to look a little bit different than they have previously, but just having gone through last year, and you all know what it was like when we were in complete lockdown and our seniors were just kind of like, it was really hard for parents, for everybody, for the whole community. So it's feels so good to be able to, with a few limitations, be able to do those things. That means so much to all of us. So I would say for the most part, the end of this year, you know, as we're seeing our case counts go down, vaccinations increasing, I think the end of this year is starting to feel like a little bit more of a return. We are currently in the process of communicating with the state regarding vaccination for 12 to 15-year-olds. So you probably heard today that we finally got the okay nationally, which is awesome. We're going to be having a clinic at MUHS for 12 to 15-year-olds this month. And once I get that date, I will be sharing that with our community. So that is just another kind of great step forward for our students. As I mentioned previously, we had a great start back last week. I've heard all sorts of stories from different people. You know, students are super respectful, are following guidelines. Our staff at both schools have put in countless hours to prepare for this. And I think it showed in terms of how the first week went. So 5 weeks left, we're running fast to the finish line here, and things are going really well.
Are there any questions for Peter? Barb?
Yeah, good news, right? And I love the 12 to 15. Because Vermont's numbers, and I've been tracking them on a daily basis from the John Hopkins website. Yeah. So they look really good, which is exciting. Is more students, I know we had a certain percentage that were going to remain remote. Has that increased where they've actually decided to have them in person because the numbers are lower, which would be awesome?
Yeah, we actually, I think honestly, before the numbers dropped, we had a number of remote students decide to come back. And cool. What was interesting was, I hadn't really thought about this, but people felt like they wanted their students to be either all in or all out. So for some, the hybrid, not a lot, but for some, the hybrid, you know, 2 days and then 3 days, they felt like was more challenging for their student, and so they chose to go remote. And when we went back to 4 days, we had a number come back, and we didn't know, you know, prior to making the decision around 4 days, we weren't sure how it would fall, but we actually gained students at both schools.
And so, like, if a parent, like next week, who has a remote child, they can then decide, oh, I want to send them in person, and that's okay? Or
yeah, I think both of our principals are working on that on a case-by-case basis, working with families, and I think they've been pretty flexible. At the same time, we're trying to maintain some sort of structure so that
sure.
Teachers aren't like every day there's a new kid in or new, you know what I mean? Like just some consistency, but that hasn't really been an issue. I think we've been able to accommodate.
Excellent. Yeah, because I'd heard, you know, with remote, I have heard some kind of frustrations that kids aren't getting quite what they would if obviously they were in person. So yeah, it would be hopeful to, you know, have as many as possible that are able to participate to, you know, in person. Absolutely. And especially, and that's why been tracking the numbers. I'm, you know, like hoping for that. Thank you.
If you're tracking the numbers, what did you make of yesterday's number?
I
thought it could have been a mistake. I was like, what?
You mean when it said 6?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Conlon?
Yeah, not only Vermont numbers are great, but Addison County numbers are pretty phenomenal. Just a quick question. How are Wednesdays being used at the middle school and high school?
So the Wednesdays are continuing in the same structure as they have been all year. So Wednesday is a school day. It's a remote day. And so teachers are continuing to do the things they did before on Wednesdays on these Wednesdays. One of the—
Any reason to just go to having school on Wednesdays?
Yeah, we, our teachers are teaching remote students. And we wouldn't be able to have our teachers teaching fully in person 5 days a week and then ask them to take kind of, in some ways, a second job and teach remote as well. Some school districts have, with their secondary students, did VTVLC. And for those, you know, if our teachers weren't teaching those remote students, we would probably be looking at that. But because of that, this made the most sense. And it's also what I think most school districts, at least in our region, Chittenden County, Addison County, we're all looking at 4 days. Some decided not to come back, and some did. I don't know exactly. Everyone was kind of slowly aligning, and then about a month ago, districts just kind of started to drift around a little bit. So I'm not sure exactly even where things are right now.
Great. I don't see any more hands raised in the window, and any other questions? Nope. Then Peter will continue on to the State Board of Education Ripton update.
Great. After the last state board meeting, and I shared an update after that meeting with all of you regarding some of the State Board of Education's questions for Ripton during that meeting. Subsequently, the state board followed up, and I shared that communication with all of you from the state board chair, articulating kind of, I think, what was behind those questions and asking for further information from Ripton for the next board meeting on May 19th. So the steps for us, for ACSD, in terms of what happens next, I did receive an email from Donna Russo-Savage stating that if the state board does approve, the first step is the state board approving of Ripton's withdrawal. After that, then the question comes to us, and it's, you know, by statute, it's essentially, we have to speak to, and I will speak to, confirm the existence of the Unified Union School District without Ripton as a member. And as I shared earlier, this is because, you know, statute thinks about in all cases, you may have a really large district. For example, if you had a district with Middlebury and Weybridge and Cornwall, and it was just those three towns, and Middlebury withdrew from that district, then the state board would have to ask that second question. Now that Middlebury is out of that district, can those two towns still exist as a single district? So that essentially is the what we'll be responding to. So I think it should be, my sense is it will be fairly brief if we get to that. It's possible that the state board will deliberate on the Ripton withdrawal longer, and that question coming to us, that second step may be pushed to June. So that's, I think it's a distinct possibility. It was, you know, in the email that Donna sent, she did kind of suggest if clause. So it's not definite that I would be presenting that, but I will be prepared on the 19th to do that.
Peter Conlon.
So the letter that you forwarded to us, that the chair of the State Board of Education sent to the folks in Ripton, asked a lot of questions of Ripton. One of them being, you know, if you didn't have a school, or for any of your kids who won't be attending school in Ripton, can you guarantee that they have a place to go? Do you play a role in answering that question, helping them answer that question?
Yeah, so similar to the preparation Ripton did prior to the April meeting, they contacted 3 districts locally and asked the secondary question. to that same question, but to middle school and high school. And all three districts answered in the affirmative. And the districts were Mount Abe, us, and Rutland Northeast. So they did the same thing for that question for elementary.
Lindsay, and then Chip.
I also have a question about this. I think it's related to what Peter just asked, but at the end of that letter that you forwarded along on the 4th, it asks for a written commitment. You know, and there's some information, like it sounds like our district needs to provide some information to the state board. And is that something that our school board will be a part of, or, you know, is it just you as the superintendent who brings that together, or, you know, what are we going to sort of see what gets forwarded along to the state board before the meeting on the 19th?
Which part are you referring to?
I'm just trying to find the exact part of the letter. It asks, okay, let's see. It's saying, it's right at the bottom of the letter from John Carroll. It's asking Ripton to present commitments in writing to demonstrate that schools in nearby communities will collectively be able to accommodate all Ripton students. And it sounds like you said the Rutland, Middlebury, and Mount Abe districts are on board with that. But it also asked for them to provide a tabular overview of how all students in every grade K to 12 can be accommodated at schools in nearby communities in the 2022-2023 school year. And some of that would be, you know, like the numbers of Ripton students would be provided by the Ripton students, but do we need to have special considerations if there are a number of them who receive significant special education services and that sort of thing? Like how detail oriented is our district?
That responsibility, those questions and that responsibility falls to Ripton.
Okay.
So we were CC'd on that email.
Okay.
So the only part of that we are, or, you know, our district was responsible for was saying yes or no to, do we have the capacity to serve those students if we needed to, and we do.
Okay. So they know how many students for each grade and all that, and so they've already made that request to all of the districts, or the districts that would be considering collaborative relationship.
Yep.
Okay.
Great. Chip?
Collaborative relationship, Lindsay, though, doesn't necessarily mean, you know, a supervisory union collaborative way where, which is what we used to do. So some of those questions Ripton has to ask is not just whether these districts can accommodate students, but what structure are they going to work under to get, like you said, the special education and a lot of the other types of things, at least for their elementary school students. So I think those are really hard questions for Ripton to answer at this point. And, you know, we knew that. I mean, it's not like it can be brave, but it's also very difficult to answer that unless they've got some concrete information from other districts, which would then include them in their supervisory union, as I would see it. I don't know. I think that's what the state board was talking about, listening to that meeting and then reading John Carroll's letter. Just those are some of the same basic questions, maybe elucidated or more in detail than all of us as individuals thought about. But it's a huge undertaking to answer some of those questions. So good luck with it. I mean, I hope hope they can come up with answers which will satisfy it. But I still don't think it's us that has to answer the question other than accommodating the number of students. And I don't think this board is responsible for anything else at this point, at least not that I can see it.
Mary Gill and then Mary Heather.
Peter, maybe you can't answer, or you're not allowed to tell me this, but how many of the staff at Ripton, well, they're ACSD staff right now, correct? Do we absorb them into when they actually leave, if they do leave?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So that
I mean,
could
unless
potentially,
they can choose to leave, obviously, if they
Right.
want to.
right,
But they have seniority rights
okay,
in ACSD, yeah.
okay. That was my only question. Thank you.
Mary Heather.
Thank you. I guess this is sort of a follow-up question, and Peter, I'm not sure if you are able to give an answer to this, but so my understanding is obviously the State Board of Education has requested information from Ripton. They may make a decision at their May 19th meeting, or they may, in fact, since the issue is so complex and the information that they would need to pull together is just a lot and kind of relies on a lot of others. So it could be as late as June. I guess I'm wondering whether you have a sense of when then, if they are approved to leave, when that sort of next step of not just our existence, but then the supervisory union issue would come about. Is that something that would be immediately, like, would our board's sort of testimony need to be presented in June, July? What is your sense on the time frame for that?
My sense is there was some conversation around having the Ripton board form and then be able to take on some of the final pieces of the statute. So that is part of the thinking. So I believe we're talking probably about, I don't think it's going to be a quick turnaround. I think there's going to be a bit of a lag between the question about withdrawal and then, ACSD existence, and then that final piece that you mentioned. I think it's going to be probably early fall, is my guess. But again, what's happened thus far, nobody really has predicted. So I would say, as much as I do.
Great. Thank you, Peter. I'm not seeing any more hands raised. Is there anybody else that has a question that hasn't raised their Zoom hand? Okay. Thank you, Peter. Report of the board is next. Which I'm not sure what we're looking for.
You're supposed to just kind of fill space here,
How about if no one wants to say anything, we move on down to other? Chip?
A report of the board relative to our meetings, and do we have any plan as to when we will become non-Zoom? I really think we should be pressing that since the world is, as Barb said, it's looking pretty good. And, I have no idea what the status of board members are as far as vaccinations and other people that would be involved. But it would seem to me that I really think we should push to start to get into that mode again.
Peter, you want to respond?
Yeah, well, I just was talking to Sharon about that this morning, and we're just checking in. I'm going to talk to colleagues to see kind of what's happening across the state. I'm also checking in, or Sharon's checking in with the VSBA this week too, just to see kind of where they are. I mean, this guidance is changing pretty quickly. which is what's allowing us to have graduation and other things like that. We just saw guidance last week that allows some places that are running indoor sports to now have spectators. One of the challenges is you have to track vaccinated and unvaccinated, but you can't ask people directly. So it's like one of those things where you need to do it, but you can't do it. So we're trying to figure that out. And we actually have to figure that out. Currently, we have to figure that out for graduation. So yeah, I mean, I think this is something that we're seeing too across, our teams in ACSD. We met with our ACSD leaders for the first time together in person. Some folks hadn't been to Middlebury in months, some of our principals. So that was pretty fun. So it's changing pretty rapidly. And I guess it's a lot better for teams to be in person, and so much happens that can't happen on Zoom. I saw this last week at our leaders meeting. So I'm
not making a demand. I'm just bringing up the issue just to say I'm an advocate for pushing ahead, for accommodating the board anyway, and those that would be able to be in that setting in whatever way that we would come back in a personal manner. I think it's really important.
Thank you, Chip. Lindsay?
Did you say my name? Okay.
Your hand is raised.
Okay, my audio cut out for a second. So, yeah, there wasn't anything like itemized underneath report of the board. So I just assumed that would be like follow up on some of the ongoing discussions. So I guess, so I had like a list of the things I was wondering, and it was agenda format, the student reps, the policy review, the 3 that we brought in last meeting. Wondering if this was a time for like committee reports. I echo what Chip is saying about the in-person meetings. That wasn't on my list, but I want to say I am also wondering about that. And I don't know if it would be for other or report of the board about follow-up regarding the question of flying flag. The students asked specifically about the Black Lives Matter flag. So I'm not sure if it would be F or G for other.
I can answer some of those. The policies are on the next board agenda.
Okay.
Okay, and the, as you know, on the policy committee, the Black Lives Matter flag, we have asked the administration to come up with some sample policies for us so that we can look at them. And so that's where that is at. And then some of those pieces, I think we were talking about, we were using them for a retreat this summer, but I'm not positive. Peter?
Yeah, the agenda, I know what was talked about, I think in the last meeting as being on the retreat.
So we're tabling the agenda format to the retreat? Okay.
Yes.
All right, and then we'll get information, some draft ideas about the follow-up. Okay. And then was there any more, anything more about student reps? Would it be at this point in the year that we would be looking at 10th graders for inclusion in the board retreat this summer to begin as maybe 11th and 12th graders?
Mary Gail?
I'm off, right? I'm talking. Okay. Peter and I are meeting with Justin Campbell next week regarding the students on the school board. Okay, we're trying to beef up their involvement and how to do it better. So, and
you also had your hand up. So
I did have my hand up, and Lindsay actually brought up the policy ones that I just wanted to remind people that we're going to hopefully adopt at our next meeting. But I have a question, Peter, regarding vaccination information. I know with adults, it's not something where we can go out and ask, but with the students coming in September, will that be included on their health information coming in? Are we going to be able to ask that?
It's a great question. I was just talking to someone about that. We don't yet know, but we're basically researching that to see kind of what the kind of legal considerations are for that.
Right. Okay.
But we do ask for other vaccinations. So that's kind of what we were talking about. So
right.
It would stand to reason.
Right. We there's only some vaccines that we actually mandate for inclusion in school, but we do ask for all vaccines. So I'm hoping that would be information that would help us next year. Thank you.
Barb Wilson, you're my lone hand.
Yep. So the comment I wanted to share is basically a follow-up with what Chip said about a meeting in person, which would be wonderful. But one thing that I think we need to be very careful of doing is making sure that it's still accessible and can be heard by the community. I'm assuming, and I could be assuming wrong, that we may not be able to open up to the community yet as a meeting, but maybe that's wrong. If we can't, and if there are one or two board members that don't feel comfortable still meeting, I think we have to rethink how we do the remote and make it viewable as well as able to be heard by the community. The retreat was just awful from that respect. We had to run around the room with a cell phone, basically doing FaceTime with Lorraine, and the community that was on couldn't hear anything. So we may need to have multiple microphones in front of people. Just really think out the structure. This isn't a problem that hasn't been solved. I had to do it in corporations in the past, where it's done well and professionally, and so that people feel that they're included and the community can hear what we're talking about. So that was really just, my one concern, that we think about that aspect of it as well and make sure we do it well.
Barb, your hand is still up. Are you all set? Are there any other under report of the board or other? Oh, Mary Heather, I didn't see your Zoom hand, sorry.
It's fine. I just put it up. I thought actually it would be a good opportunity. One of the things that I want to talk about at the next communication engagement committee meeting is content for a board update. It's been a while since there's been a board newsletter, a board update. And so I guess something that our group will be talking about, but I guess I'd like to just invite board members, if there's any specific content that you feel ought to be included in a board update. It'd be great if you just shoot me an email and I can put that on a list to discuss at the committee meeting, which will be this coming Thursday at noon. And if I'm, I guess that's what I was thinking. If there's a different process by which the board update content comes about, do let me know. But I guess that's what I was thinking. So it's sort of an invitation to all. If there's something that you definitely think should be on there so that we can push out some information to the community, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
Peter, then Barb, and then Chip.
Did you just call on me?
Yeah, I thought you raised your hand when Mary Heather did.
Yeah, that's right. I'll wait till take everybody else first.
Okay, then Barb and Chip.
Yeah, so just for my knowledge, in the past, how did we do board updates? And, you know, so I can then think of things to send Mary, Heather, if I'm just not quite sure I know what we've done in the past as a board update, and would love to just have a little overview or summary of what has happened in the past that might help me participate and think of things.
Well,
Ellen,
it's
you wanna
certainly, I
take
mean,
that?
it,
Or
oh, sorry.
Amy?
Let me know if I need to go off video. I mean, they came out of the facilities master planning process and the need and our desire to find different mechanisms for keeping people updated, for making announcements, for sharing information, providing background. I mean, I think, you know, when we announced the porch conversations, that kind of thing. So that's where they came from, at least in my generation. I can't speak, and there certainly wasn't anything immediately preceding. And we were kind of settling into a pattern of every other month. I think we were shooting for every month, but just don't have the capacity. So that's kind of what we've settled into, if that's helpful. Which I think is partly why we're looking for content, because without a facilities master planning process, we needed to.
Exactly.
Ellen, do you have anything to add to that, or?
I just add that, yeah, other than the facilities master planning process, we have not done board updates, just because it's generally been the mundane business of the board that people can watch on TV or read the minutes.
Right. Chip?
I would like to commend Mary Heather, though, on the letter she wrote to the students regarding the BLM flag and the fact that nuanced is the word I think you use, but complicated and political and difficult and thoughtful and all other things which all of us have to consider when we figure out or accept certain policies on this type of issue. It's very difficult. It isn't just like saying, well, the board agrees that most of us agree with BLM, so we should put the flag up. It's a lot different if it's your company or your home than when you are a public entity like a public high school. So I know other districts have done it, but I'm very wary of the difficulties of going down that slope, no matter how solidly I may believe in any particular thing that may come up, that I want to have the flag flying. But I thought the letter was very good, Mary Heather. Thank you for addressing that.
Anything else? I think we've kind of covered other and report of the board together. So I will entertain a motion to go into executive session. Whoops, wait a minute. Maybe we don't need to go, Peter.
Yeah, I should have done this on the report of the board. Yeah, we don't need to go into executive session. Just let people know negotiations are underway. Just had first meeting establishing ground rules, that sort of thing. We'll be exchanging proposals a little later in the month. And so we'll have a more complete report for folks at our next meeting. So no need for executive session tonight. I'm sure you're all very disappointed.
You just crushed us, Peter.
Oh, God. Just so much fun going between one and the other. Losing people on the way.
So that being said, it is 8:20. This is probably the earliest anybody's asked for an adjournment in a long time. May I have a motion to adjourn? Mary Gill, is there a second? Mary Heather? I don't think there's going to be any discussion, but all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion has passed and we are adjourned at 8:20 p.m.
Thank you. See you guys.
Suzanne.